this will be my recap for the Burn Warrior for general PvE purpose. Now, no doubt about the changes that will be coming for next year. Obviously, there will be some new changes, there will be some balance and whatnot, and etc. so on and so forth. And because of that, I like to have a finalized version of the Burn Warrior for 2016, so I can look on this video, you know, a few months from now on and compare with the changes and see what are the areas that I can improve in regard to the build, or maybe in regard to the quality of my video as well. And so before we moving on to the build, I like to quickly touch on the warrior. So the Burn Warrior has been through some interesting changes for the past year or so. Initially, the warrior, when during the release of the Heart of Thorn back in 2015, warrior was considered to be one of the top classes for DPS for the burn condition damage, and they have been some nerf changes to the class, and over the period of 1 year there was a lot of changes to the build itself. And so now we are at the point where warrior is considered to be a hybrid support, and also it can consider to be a damage as well, but not up to that level it used to be back in 2015. Regardless, I still find the warrior to be a fun class to play, especially when it comes to burn condition damage, and it is a nice change for me to swap from the traditional PS warrior for like strength physical with the Berserker build to the burn condition damage of the warrior. So I see that this is some refresh for me, and so that's why I play my burn condition damage warrior on the regular basis nowadays. Alright, so let's just get on with the build itself. I will start off with the specialization, and then for the equipment, and then after that I'll move on to the weapon and all the information that you might be interested in. Now, for the specializations of the Burn Warrior, I have the arms, tactics, and the Berserker. Now for the arms, these three will go with each other very nicely, and so I have the top, middle, and middle. Now let's start off with the top first. The top will provide me with the ability to have Fury Boon, and the Fury Boon will provide me with a 20% of critical chance, increase my critical chance by 20%, and it also provide me with the ability to increase my condition damage, and that condition damage increase is coming from the deep strike. So whenever I have the Fury will apply to myself, can also grant me the condition damage. And you know, as you can see in here, this Fury, the Fury activates, and that activation will give me the condition damage as well. Now for the last one, I have the Furious. The Furious, the critical hit scan bonus adrenaline, and also again a stacking condition damage effect. And so because I already have the critical chance Fury from the spoon from the first attribute, these will go with each other very nicely. So the more condition damage you have, the better, right? This one is a condition damage build. Alright, so for the tactics, I have the bottom, middle, and bottom. Now for the first bottom attribute, I have the increased damage for every boon on you. So in the meta events, or when you are in the party, roughly it's about 5 to 7 boons from what I can see. And so because of that, 5 to 7 boon is equal to around 5 to 7% increase in damage. So the more percentage, the more boons that you have, the more damage that you will be able to inflict into your enemies or targets. Alright, so for the next one, burning arrows. So for the burning arrows, just let me swap the weapon. The burning arrows will have the effect on your first normal attack skill, which is dual shot. Now as you can see in here, dual shot will cause the burning, and longbow skills will recharge faster. And as you can see in here, the first weaponry set that you will be using is the longbow, and the secondary weapon set you'll be using the sword and the torch. Now sometimes if you prefer to go with support, you can also go with the empower allies. So this second attribute will provide you with the ability to share your, increase the power of the nearby allies by 150 points. So if you want to play support in the party, feel free to do so as well. Otherwise, if you are solo roaming or you're doing everything by yourself, then I think that it will be more appropriate for you to go with the burning arrows. Alright, so the last one I have the Phalanx Strength. Now the warrior has the ability to share the might to other allies nearby you within the radius of 600 points. So what is might? Might is a boon that will provide you with an increase in power, that is the physical damage and also condition damage, and it stacks intensively. So at the maximum amount of stack, which is 25, you will receive a tremendous amount of power and condition damage. And so ideally, if you in a party you want to have more might, so preferably 25 might stacks. And so that is precisely why I have this one, so that I can use that in conjunction with this utility right here for Great Justice. This one will gain fury and might to allies and myself. And so 3 stacks, so you know it's kind of small at first, but over time, if there are other warriors using it, you'll be able to share all of your might to your friends. And so that's something that I prefer to have. Alright, for the Berserker, I'm having top, middle, and middle. Now, the top one reduces recharge on the primal burst skills and berserk mode. Now, for this one, this is the elite specialization for the warrior, and it allows you to unlock the berserk mode. And once you unlock the berserk mode, you will change your F1 skill, and when you change your F1 skill, it will provide you with the ability to deal extra damage, and on top of that, it will also provide you with an increase in attack speed and also critical chance as well, and also swiftness. And that's precisely why I have the berserk elite spec with me, so that I can attack faster and also more damage from the primal burst skill. Alright, so for the second attribute, I have the hit of the soul. Sorry, not hit of the soul, hit the soul. So this one will reduce recharge on my torch, and as you can see in here that I'm using my torch for my secondary weapon set, and that will also increase my condition damage by 150 points, and so that is very good. Now the last one, King of Fires. King of Fires allow me to have an increase in duration of the burning condition damage that I apply, and also gain 5 aura when I critical hit an enemy. And Berserker skill also detonate 5 aura, damaging and burning nearby foes, so that will go really well with the Berserker. Sorry, not Berserker, Berserk mode. So let's talk a little bit about the utility, and then I'll just show you a demonstration, a quick demonstration on the Berserk mode, and also how it applies to, sorry, not it applies, but how it change, how it will change the F1 skill from your primal ability right here. Alright, so for the utility, for the healing, I am using the Blood Reckoning. This one will heal myself, gain adrenaline, and also recharge on burst skills. And so I will show you how it plays out and why do I have this one right here. Just please bear with me for 1 second. Now for the next one, I have for Great Justice, which will give me the fury and also the might. And as I already mentioned to you guys earlier, the more might that you have, the better. So for the second utility, I have the banners. Now there are 4 banners in total: the banner of defense, banner of strength, banner of disciplines, and banner of tactics. So depending on the scenario, you may want to swap in between the banners. So for example, if you have another warrior in your team that already carry a banner of disciplines, you may want to swap that to the banner of the strength, or maybe banner of tactics. So depending on the group as well. So it's safe to say, if you see another warrior and he's carrying another banner, so just ask him like, you know, what sort of banner is he using or she using. So if he or she using a banner of disciplines, then swap to banner of the strength. Or if the person is carrying 2 banners, so let's say banner of discipline and banner of strength, then in that case just go with banner of tactics, because banner of defense sometimes you know, mobs die really fast in the meta event, and so that is, or perhaps you may want to increase the toughness on the vitality of the entire team. So it's up to you. So you know, highly subjective depending on the group setup. Now for the last one, I have the Doyak Signet. Now the Doyak Signet is will give me the ability to have the reduced incoming damage by buffing up my toughness 180 points. But more importantly, I have the Signet active, which will give me the stability. Now the stability will have an effect of 8 seconds, and I cannot be knocked out, pushed back, pull, or any other crowd control, and it also break me out of stun as well. So the reason why I'm having this one is not only because it will give me the toughness in general PvE, especially when I'm facing with a lot of mobs, but it also allow me to have the stability, so I cannot be knocked down or disabled or any crowd control effect on me. So using that, I'm able to escape in the critical situations, or it can give me the ability to stand still while having access to all of my skills, so that I don't, I can continue to do my rotation and not being knocked out by the boss, because the more time wasted that you being knocked out, the more damage lost, and so I prefer not to have that. So that's why I carry this Doyak Signet. But from time to time, if you require to have other utilities, then I would recommend you to use the following. The first one is Shattering Blow. This one will also provide you with the ability to have the bleeding, but it can also provide you with the ability to have stability. Now the stability for this one is only 2 seconds, much less than the Doyak Signet, but it also provide you with the ability to deal 4 stacks of bleeding, and over time that will be a total of 6,533 damage. So that's a makeup for this one. And also another one is White Blow. This one will provide you with the adrenaline, and also what do you call it? CC. Yeah, CC the target. Now if you don't know what CC mechanic is, please refer, well, at the time of me filming this, I haven't uploaded my CC video yet, but please check back another time and look down for the description. You will see the video come popping up really soon about the CC mechanics, and you will know what I'm talking about. So if you already know what I'm talking about, don't worry, but for those of you who don't know about the CC mechanics, please refer to the descriptions down below at a later time, and I will put the CC video up. So you have the ability to knock back the foes, which is CC, crowd control. And also if you don't want to use this one, you can also use this one as well. Throw a mine, and that will bleed and cripple the foe. So it has some sort of crowd control mechanics built into this utility as well. Otherwise, you can also consider the Endure Pain, which you will take no damage from the attacks except for crowd control and condition damage, but then it will provide you with the ability to take no physical damage for a short period of time, so that you can allocate your time into escaping or avoiding the damage, or whatever comes afterward of the attack. Alright, so for the next one, I have the Balance Stance, which will gain me stability and swiftness on an interval. Now I only use one on a very special circumstance. So for example, if I want to move from one location to the other, so it's across the map, so in that case then I will be using the Balance Stand, but otherwise I don't, because it will be a tremendous amount of DPS loss, especially when you are doing the boss or in the meta event when mobs coming after you anyway. So those are the ones that I take into considerations when I do the meta events or when I'm doing the rooming. Now for the elite, I have 3 considerations. The first one is battle standard, and the next one is Signet of Rage, and the last one is a headbutt. I always have the headbutt with me because of the hard CC that it provides. Again, for the CC part, please refer to the descriptions at a later time, so that it will give you some information about the CC mechanics. Otherwise, if you already know what CC is, ignore what I'm suggesting and just carry on. So to carry on, I have the battle standards right here. The battle standard is it depends on the situation. Sometimes I will be requiring the battle standard, sometimes I don't, so it's purely optional. So if I see that my friends and my allies are being down a lot, then in that case I'll carry a battle standard to get them back into the battle, but otherwise I don't carry it because I prefer to have extra CC. Now the last one, I have the Signet of Rage. Now this one I only use it in some very special circumstance. So for example, if I'm roaming in the map, then I will be carrying out a Signet of Rage so that it can give me permanent swiftness. Or if I'm by myself and I'm facing a lot of mobs, I might consider having a Signet of Rage because it will give me might and fury as well. So in terms of usage, I will put the headbutt at first, then battle standard, and then the last one will be Signet of Rage. So in that order, I'll be using headbutt most of the time, then battle standard, then Signet of Rage. Alright, so I'm just quickly showing you the rotation for the Burn Warrior before I'm moving to the equipment sections. No, so that you can be a little aware of the rotation and also what it does when I activate the Berserker mode, and also for the modification of this burst skill right here. So for those of you who already know about this one, please feel free to just move on to the next equipment part, otherwise stick around. Alright, so first of all, I always start off with that skill, and then I will jump into that. Sorry, that's the wrong rotations. And then I'll put the headbutt, and that headbutt will provide me with the Berserker. And when I swap to Berserker, I swap to the short bow, and then after that I will attack it a little bit, shoot it again, and then reset my primal burst skill. And as you can see in here that I have my primal burst skill to change into a line of arrow, as you can see in here, right? And that the longer the mob staying in that AoE effect, the more damage that you will deal over time. Alright, so that's pretty much what I wanted to show you about how when you know how you can activate more speed, attack speed boost, and also have the adrenaline and also access to the primal burst skill. Now obviously when I'm talking, I sort of like distracted and I cannot carry out my rotation correctly, and so for this one I like to just be quiet for 1 second so that I can fully concentrate on the rotation itself, and so you can see that what sort of rotation am I using for my Burn Warrior. Alright, so just give me, alright, so just let me go in. Alright, for this time I will be quiet and you just observe my skill and also my rotations, what sort of the skill rotation that are we using. So are we going that. So that's pretty much it. Simple, right? It's nothing major, everybody can do it, and it would just take a couple of practice to get it execute like that. So but again, it's depending on the situations. Now if you are raiding with this set, then I'm afraid that this video might not be tailored to the raid environment, because I already mentioned to you guys in the introductions that I will not be talking about the raid environment at all for this build, because this one is tailored to general PvE where you can be roaming from time to time. So the rotation can be changed depending on the circumstance. So for example, if you have a lot of mobs coming in from the other side, then you may have to swap to different set. Like, so for example, you might want to, like, if you are using the sword and a torch, and at the moment you are facing with a mob that is quite heavily to deal with, dealing heavily melee damage, and you prefer to range it, then in that case, and you have to like dodge back and then start ranging him from afar. And so it purely depending on the circumstance, and because of that it will be subjective to the scenario, and because of that you will have to alternate your rotation to better fit with that. So the rotation that I'm showing to you just now would just be a demonstration on how it can be carried out, but by no means that you have to follow it, especially when it comes to meta events where there are things that can be unexpected and mobs coming at you from one side or the other. And so because of that, just please keep in mind that this rotation is just for show, and you know, if you can execute it, that's fine. If you can't execute it, that's also fine. Just roll along with whatever the environment you are facing with and adjust to that. Right, so that's pretty much it for the specializations. Now I will be moving to the equipment, and then the weapons, and then finally the other information section. Now for the equipment, you have two options. The first one is obviously maximizing your damage, which will be including everything Vipers, starting from your equipment to your accessories and trinkets and whatnot. There will be full Vipers. Now the Rune if you just want to deal burning condition damage, then I would highly recommend you to go with the Superior Rune of Balthazar, which will give you the burning condition damage and also an increase in burning durations. Now, there's also an alternative for those of you who want to play support, and I refer that to the usage of the Superior Rune of Aristocracy. The Superior Rune of Aristocracy will provide you with the ability to increase your condition damage, but it can also increase the duration for your might boon. And as I already mentioned to you previously, that if you are going to spec your tactics into the phalanx strength, you have the ability to share that with the might boon with your friends and your allies in a party. And so if you want to play support, feel free to go with the Superior Rune of Aristocracy, otherwise just go with the Superior Rune of Balthazar. Now, where do you get the Superior Rune of Aristocracy? Well, a lot of people don't like doing dungeons, but sadly the Superior Rune of Aristocracy will come from the Caudecus Manor, Explorable mode, level 45, if I recall that correctly. And so again, if you want to play support, then I would highly recommend you to get the Superior Rune of Aristocracy, so that you can provide extra might and also the longer might duration for your allies. Otherwise, if you just want to deal damage, then by all means go with the Superior Rune of Balthazar. Now, for the budget options, I recommend you to go with the Rabid Set, which will give you the precision, toughness, and condition damage, and that will be using you'll be using the Superior Rune of Balthazar for the set. And for the accessory, you can either go with the Rampagers for the purchase options, or I highly recommend you to be doing the new 3 maps, Bloodstone Fen, Ember Bay, and Bitter Frost Frontier. Those 3 maps will provide you with the ability to purchase the ascended quality for your trinkets. So the trinket will have the ability for you to swap stats to the Viper sets, or any other set, any other status you want. But in the spell, I would highly recommend you to get your Viper stats on your trinkets from the 3 new maps. So if you can, feel free to go ahead and do the 3 new maps. I will also include the link down in the description where an overview for the 3 maps and where you can get the access from. Alright, so that's pretty much that I want to cover for the equipment. Now I would like to move on with the weapons. Now for the weapon choice, I'll be using the Longbow for the first weaponry set, and the second weaponry set I'll be using the sword and a torch. Now for both of the options, regardless if you're on a budget or maximizing your damage, I always recommend people to go for the full Vipers. Now if you don't have the access to the Vipers, or if you can't spend your resources onto the Viper option, then in that case I would recommend you to go with the Rampagers for the time being until you can swap to the Vipers. Now let's start off with the Longbow, shall we? For the Longbow, for the Superior Sigils, I would highly recommend you for you to go with the first slot with the Superior Sigil of Earth. That will provide you with a 60% chance on critical hit that will inflict the blooding condition damage. Now, if you already have a full 100% of your burning condition duration, then in that case, then you would then in the secondary Sigil, I would recommend you to go with the Superior Sigil of Agony. And because the Superior Sigil of Agony will provide you with the ability to have a 20% increase in the bleeding. And as I showed to you guys earlier in the video, that the so if you look at the sword itself, the sword is specialized, the weapon specialized in the bleeding and not the burning. And so the burning condition damage tab for the burn warrior will be the main damage tab, but for the minor damage tab, condition damage tab, it will be the bleeding. And so because of that, if you already maximize your burn condition durations, then in that case just put in the Superior Sigil of Agony to increase the duration for the bleeding. And so the longer the condition damage stay on the target, the more damage that you will deal over time. So that pretty much for the second slot. Alternatively, if you haven't maximized your burning condition durations, then in that case just slot in the Superior Sigil of Smoldering for a 20% increase in burn condition durations. Now for the secondary weapon set, I'll be using the sword and the torch. Now for the sword, I will slot in the Superior Sigil of Earth Superior Sigil of Earth for 60% chance in critical hit that will provide me with the ability to inflict the bleeding. And for the torch, you have two options. You can either go with the Superior Sigil of Smoldering, or you can go with the Superior Sigil of Agony, depending on the condition duration. If you really maximize your burning, then go with Superior Sigil of Agony. Otherwise, go with Superior Sigil of Smoldering. Now that is for the burn condition damage options. For the support option, if you want to support your friend, and that is in conjunction with the equipment that uses the superior rune of Aristocracy, which will provide might and also share those might to other friends. Then in that case, if you are using the support option that I identified earlier in the equipment, then in that case I would recommend you to be using the Superior Sigil of Strength on your sword, because Superior Sigil of Strength will provide you with a 60% chance on critical hit that will give you a might. So every time when that activates it, then in that case you will be sharing the might to your friends, and so that is the support style. Now if you use your longbow, just replace the Superior Sigil of Agony or Superior Sigil of Smoldering on your secondary Sigil slot with the Superior Sigil of Strength. Right, so that's pretty much what I want to cover for the weapons. Now let's move on to the other information section. For other information section, I don't actually have a lot of stuff to say, aside from the fact that I need to stress out that you can get the ascended quality for your trinkets, peg piece, amulet, and accessory and ring for fiber stats from the 3 new maps, Ember Bay, Bitter Frost Frontier, and Bloodstone Fence. So aside from that, I don't have anything else to say. Maybe a little bit on the support style. Now I know that a lot of people, they will prefer to just go with the condition damage instead of the support style, but if you can go with the support style, feel free by all means to go ahead and do it, because obviously in the meta event a lot of people will be dealing damage already, and so a lot of other class will need to have a decent amount of might to be able to deal a decent amount of damage. And so given that reason, I always use the Superior Rune of Aristocracy on my set, and along with the Superior Sigil of Strength on my weapons, and so that I can provide the might to other people in the meta event, and also in other contents of the game as well. So that's just my personal opinion. If you want to go ahead with the condition damage, that's fine too, but I would be appreciate if more people would take the time to go with the support style. Alright, so aside from that, I would like to conclude this video. If you have any feedback, please feel free to give it to me down in the comment section below, and as always, enjoy, have fun. I will see you later.